And the first thing we want to do to start off with round number 1 is create our slip knot. We're going to wrap that around our finger twice, pull that over, and then pull it up and over your finger. Then just place that loop on your hook, pull it nice and tight. And now what we need to do is create a ring to serve as a foundation or the center of the flower. We're going to do that by chaining 4. Now we need to turn this into a ring, and the way we're going to do that is find our first chain, the one that's right here next to our slip knot. You'll just insert your hook into that chain. I'm just catching one loop there. Then slip stitch. So grab the working yarn, pull it through the chain, and then through the loop that was on your hook. And there we have our ring. Now to begin round 1, what we want to do is chain 1. That doesn't count as a stitch or anything, it's just getting us set up to make 7 single crochets in the center of this ring. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now to finish off the round, what we need to do is find our first single crochet. I can see it right here, and I'll insert my hook into that stitch. I'm going to catch both of those loops. So if you're looking at it from the top like you see here, it kind of looks like an upside down V. I'm going to stick my hook under both of those loops, wrap the yarn, pull through, so I'm slip stitching here, and then through the loop on your hook, and that finishes round number 1. Now to start off round number 2, what we need to do is make a chain, so just chain 1, and for each one of our stitches we need to make 2 single crochets. And for starters, we're not going to count this chain 1 as a single crochet. Instead, we're going to make 2 single crochets in the same space. It's just a little bit easier when we go to join at the end of the round if we're joining with an actual stitch versus this chain, which tends to be a little bit hidden. So I'm inserting my hook into that same stitch, or the first stitch of this round, make a single crochet, and do that once more. So I have 2 single crochets in my first stitch, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around, 2 single crochets into every single stitch. We will have a total of 14 stitches at the end of this round. Now when you get to the end of your round, you want to do a quick check and count your stitches. You should have a total of 14. Then we're going to find our first single crochet of this round, insert our hook into that stitch, and slip stitch. That's going to finish off round number 2. Now the idea for round number 3 is to provide a foundation for our petals. So this round is going to go fairly quick. First thing we want to do is chain 3, and this chain 3 is going to count as 1 double crochet. And then we need to add a gap space. Now this is actually where we're going to work the stitches for our petals in the next round. Just go ahead and chain 4. So I actually have a total of 7 chains here, 3 of them counting as a double crochet, the remaining 4 counting as just a gap space, a chain 4 gap space. Now the next thing I want to do is skip 2 single crochets and double crochet in the third. So I'm looking at the place where my chain 7 is coming from. I'm moving over to the next 2, skipping those, and then I will work a double crochet into that third stitch. Then I need to create another chain 4 gap space, so I'll chain 4. Then I want to skip 2 single crochets, double crochet in the third, And we're going to repeat that. Chain 4, skip 2, double crochet in the third, chain 4, skip 2, double crochet in the third. We're just about finished. Now the last thing we need to do, because we've reached our starting point, is we need to continue with our pattern, chain 4, and then we need to join to finish off the round. I mentioned before that this chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so we want to find the third chain. So I can see my first, second, and third. I'm going to stick my hook into that third chain. Now I'm catching 2 loops this time. I feel like that's a little bit more secure. Then we'll slip stitch. And this is what your flower looks like at the end of round 3. Now we're ready to start creating the petals of our flower, and this is where things get a little bit fun and interesting. Go ahead and pull up on your working loop and just hold it with your 2 fingers there. Then look at your work and find this chain 3. Now this was acting as a double crochet, but it's actually our chain 3. Find that and then stick your hook into the stitch that's right next to it. Then we're going to pick up that working loop and just pull it through the stitch. Now what we're doing here is we're situating the start of this petal kind of in the front of the work, so they kind of sit offset from one another. And now we're going to move into the stitches of the petal. We're going to work those over this chain 4 space, and we're just going to make 12 double crochets around this chain. So once you have your 12 double crochet in that chain gap space, what we need to do is secure this petal kind of to the back side like that. So the way we're going to do that is by swinging your hook around, sticking it through the front and out the back. So I'm really just kind of catching that double crochet post. Then we're going to grab our working yarn, so just yarn over, and we want to pull this through the loop on our hook, but we have to go through this too. So just hold on to that with your fingers, kind of get it out of the way so that loop doesn't fall off. And then we're going to pull this loop through this one. Now we're ready to start our repeat for this round, and what we're going to do is chain 3. This chain 3 is not really counting as a stitch, it's kind of just getting us to the point where we need to go. I'm going to pull up on my working loop and hold that again, because the next petal I want to start in front of this one. And the way we do that is by finding our post and the stitch that's right next to it. This is just like what we did at the very beginning. You'll insert your hook into that stitch coming out the back, and make sure your hook is behind that first petal. Replace that loop and then pull the loop through the stitch. Now we have our next chain 4 right here waiting for us to work 12 double crochets around it. So just like we did before, we're starting on petal number 2 now, and we'll work 12 double crochets. You may need to slide your stitches down as you go so they can all fit comfortably. Alright, so I have my 12 stitches there for my second petal. Now what we need to do is secure it to the back once again. And to show you how that looks, again, just take your hook, swing it around the back, through the front, and back out the other side. Now just kind of fold everything over, yarn over, pull through, and through. Then we're going to chain 3. Once again, we're starting on a new petal. Release that loop. Find your double crochet in the stitch that's next to it. Pull it through and then start the next petal. So that's our repeat for the rest of this round. Go ahead and finish up your remaining petals and we'll meet back up at the end of this round. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and the last thing I need to do is slip stitch this petal in place so it kind of sits behind like all of the others, and we're going to do this one just slightly different, and that's because we don't really have a post now to work around. So I'm still going to swing my hook around, but I want to just find that first stitch that we made, and then just slide my hook under there, and then continue on out the other side. Then we're going to wrap the yarn and pull through. So we're basically doing the same motion, but instead of wrapping it around a post, we're just kind of working it within that stitch. And this is what your flower looks like now at the end of round number 4. And technically you could go ahead and stop here if you wanted a little bit more of a simple flower, but the layers to this really add a great effect. And so we want to continue on with round number 5. But in order to do that, we need to get our hook into a different place. We want to sort of offset this outer layer of petals from this first layer. And what we need to do is find our first petal. So this one right here, it's right next to our hook. I'm going to find that open stitch, stick my hook there, and we're going to slip stitch there. That's just going to put our hook in a different position so that we can actually start on round number 5. Now we're going to start round 5 in a similar way to round number 3. We want to start with a chain 3, and this is going to act as a double crochet, and we're setting up that foundation for this next row of petals. But this time we want the outer layer of petals to be bigger than this inner layer, so instead of making 4 chains like we did when we were setting up this row of petals, we're going to chain 6. So we have our 3, I'm going to add 6 to that. Now I'm going to focus my attention on the next petal. Just kind of fold everything over so you can see what you're doing. And you can notice that there are 2 stitches in between this petal. We're going to go ahead and double crochet in this one right here, the first one. Now we're going to chain 6. Find the next petal, just fold it down. Find that first of 2 stitches, so this is the first stitch and the second stitch. We're going to double crochet in the first. If we're being honest here, it really doesn't matter if you're double crocheting in the first one or the second one. It's really going to work all the same. The main thing is that you want to be consistent. So I'm chaining 6. And we're just going to repeat this all the way around. Now when you've made it to the end of your round, just like we did at the end of round number 3, we're going to find that big long chain that we started off with. I'm going to locate the third because remember those 3 chains count as a double crochet. So I have 1, 2, and 3. I'm I'm going to join with the slip stitch to this third chain. We're doing that because it's counting as a stitch, a double crochet specifically. And that finishes off round number 5. So we have our foundation for our final row of petals, and round 6 is going to be worked very similar to round number 4. The first thing that we need to do is get ourselves set up, and so I'm going to pull up on this loop just a little bit, and you'll want to go ahead and fold that first round of petals down so you can see this framework of stitches below. I can see I have one stitch that's right here next to that post, so you'll stick your hook into that stitch. Make sure your hook is in front of that chain when you replace the loop back, and then you'll just pull it through that stitch. Now you're set up to work your double crochets around this chain 6. Since we have 6 chains, we want our petal to be a little bit bigger. Instead of doing 12 double crochets, we're going to make 16. And it's worked all around the chain. All right, now once you have your 16 double crochets, we want to secure it to the back. Just like we did before, swing your hook around and in front of that post and back out. And we're just going to slip stitch it. So pull that through and through. And then our repeat begins. We'll chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to pull up on that loop and then focus my attention now over here. I have a free stitch that's available for me to stick my hook into. Make sure your hook is behind that petal. When you replace that loop on your hook, you're going to pull it just through that stitch, and then continue on making your 16 double crochets around that next chain 6. And that's the repeat for the rest of the round. All right, so I've just finished making my last petal, and before I can fasten off, I need to secure this to the back just like we did before. So I'm going to swing my hook around and find the first stitch from this first petal. So I can see that first V right here. I'm going to stick my hook in there. And again, we're doing this just because we don't have that post to work around. And I can continue on through the back and just fold everything over so it makes things a little bit easier. You'll wrap the yarn, pull through, and then finally pull through the loop on your hook. Now the last thing we need to do is fasten off. So just leave yourself a tail that's however long you need. If you're going to use this tail to secure it to your project, you want to leave it a little bit longer. If not, you can use a shorter tail. And then we're just going to pull the tail through the loop on our hook. Pull that nice and tight. And since we had to really kind of squish this up in our hand, doesn't look like much initially. So what we need to do is do a little bit of finger blocking. So, I mean, you can see just opening up that first round of petals makes a huge difference. And then we're just going to do that for the petals on the outside as well. And this is one of those steps that I hope that you don't skip, because your flower will look so much better once you have all of the petals straightened out and kind of situated the way they're supposed to, so they should have a nice little sweeping look to them. And there you have it.